I got divorced and I pawned my wedding ring. So I can't pay on my wedding ring, so I won't lose it.
Did you have date night?
Yes, 30 years ago.
Hardcore Pawn Most Funny Moments. Get ready to laugh out loud as we dive into the uproarious world of hardcore pawn with the most side-splitting moments that will leave you in stitches. A man enters the pawn shop with an unusual combination of items: a Prohibition-era whiskey barrel and a monkey fur coat. This odd pairing immediately draws the host's attention and gives a sense of mystery to the environment. The tension between comedy and interest grows as the man shows his unique wares. The host, like the audience, is puzzled about what to make of such an unexpected offering. The man's desire to part with these objects raises questions about their history and value, piquing the host and viewer's interest.
Wear that, you're a chimp.
I'm growing out of my monkey suit.
To add to the comedy, the host advises that the man try on the monkey fur coat, which results in a comical image of him dressed as a gorilla. The lighter tone is created by the lively banter and unexpected scenario, providing a brief respite from the severity of the pawn shop environment. A consumer brings in a DVD VHS combo wanting to sell it for $50 in an unusual encounter at the pawn shop. However, things take an unusual turn when it is revealed that the consumer does not have the device's remote control. This missing component becomes a topic of contention during the negotiation process. As Ashley, the staff member, attempts to analyze the condition of the item, the client responds with surprising and juvenile answers, creating a childish atmosphere.
I want 40.
No. Are you imitating me?
Ashley tries to conclude the deal, frustrated by the lack of progress, and wishes the customer a good day. The buyer is adamant about receiving the requested $50 and refuses to accept this outcome. In a comically chaotic episode of Hardcore Pawn, the pawn store becomes the setting for an epic showdown between a woman and her outspoken son about jewelry prices. It was the mother's birthday, but instead of celebrating, they found themselves in a comic war of wits. As the son protested the jewelry pricing, Seth, the employee, stepped in to try to calm the dispute. However, the son's remarks continued, increasing the tension and resulting in a raucous back and forth of humorous insults and retorts.
Listen, you need to shut up before I knock you for real. Stop it.
But still.
The irritated staff stared with wide eyes as the mother reprimanded her son, using her motherly influence to exert dominance. It was a scene straight out of a comedy sketch, with Seth and the other staff doing their best to maintain straight faces amid the ridiculousness.
I'm your mama. You don't talk to me like that. I don't give a so what? You gonna be out in public acting like you
Whatever!
you talking to.
Finally, the mother rushed out of the business, leaving Seth and the befuddled employee shaking their heads in bewilderment. A former athlete strolled into the pawn shop and tried on a football helmet, prompting a trip down memory lane. Seth, the athlete, enthusiastically offered details of his previous sports career, boasting about a 6-year time in the league while engaging in a small chat with the employee. The athlete said how fantastic it felt to be back in a helmet after nostalgically reminiscing about his glory days. When Seth asked about a possible purchase, things took a hilarious turn. The athlete stated unequivocally that he had no intention of purchasing the helmet and even urged Seth to respect his elders.
Take it off.
Why do I gotta take it off?
Because you're not purchasing it. You already told me you're not buying it.
Well, I don't want to buy it. You need to respect your elders is what you need to do.
The issue became more uncomfortable as the athlete persisted in wearing the helmet despite his lack of interest in purchasing one. Frustrated by the athlete's actions, Seth instructed him to remove the helmet, which irritated the former athlete even more. He insulted Seth before storming out of the shop and stating they have no respect for the elderly. In a genuinely odd pawn shop experience, a customer approaches with a ring and a television to pawn. What follows, though, is a scenario that defies explanation. This unusual customer even offers workers the option to taste a pacifier smeared in their spit in exchange for money. It quickly becomes clear that this customer's behavior is out of the ordinary. One of the employees, Seth, takes command of the matter and attempts to navigate the strange offer. He quickly declines, refusing to entertain such an unusual request. Despite the rejection, the buyer persists, even hinting that Seth may be enjoying the encounter in secret.
Ready?
This incredible incident not only highlights the unexpected interactions that can occur in a pawn shop, but also sheds light on the various and unusual conduct of some customers. Though for the viewers, it was incredibly funny to watch. A customer's conduct resembled that of a humorous actor during an episode of Hardcore Pawn, bringing an element of amusement to the shop's everyday encounters. The incident began when a security agent approached the client and asked him to move his automobile from an incorrectly parked place. The customer's answer was hostile and exaggerated, as if he were a part of a comedy sketch.
Don't touch me, man. Don't touch me, man. Don't throw my hat. Pick it up.
As the tension grew, one of the staff, Ashley, stepped in to defuse the situation. She endeavored to provide assistance and resolve the conflict with a cool and composed approach. The pawn shop personnel were caught aback by the customer's theatrical behavior, which they found both baffling and hilarious. Encounters with strange and unusual customers are regular on Hardcore Pawn, and one particular occurrence offered a laugh for both employees and viewers. The man in the video approaches the pawn shop to buy a sofa for his new home. He strikes up a conversation with Les, who shows him a sofa that piques his interest and makes him want to learn more about it. Les informs the client that the sofa's low pricing reflects the fact that it is in worn condition and that any more cleaning will incur additional fees. However, the customer is perplexed by how filthy the sofa is, especially given how clean his shoes are.
My shoes are cleaner than this couch.
Then don't buy it.
Despite the unappealing circumstances, the customer offers $100 instead of paying the entire price in an attempt to negotiate a better deal. The already tense scenario worsens as the consumer continues to criticize Les. The discussion reaches a climax when the customer makes a disparaging remark about Les's daughter, resulting in the customer's instant removal from the institution.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that your daughter?
That's my daughter.
She must be nasty too.
What did you just say?
The customer's unrealistic expectations and disrespectful behavior serve as a reminder that not all business dealings are conducted with kindness and comprehension. A woman who walks into a pawn shop to try out different flight seats. Although these seats are marked for sale, she ignores the staff's cautions and makes herself at home on the furniture. The shop personnel is perplexed by this behavior, notably Ashley, who tries to explain that the seats are not for trial purposes. The woman, on the other hand, is unconcerned, happily daydreaming about her future flight. The woman has an attitude and reacts with resistance, resulting in a clash. The developing situation necessitates the intervention of security to handle the issue.
You can get your hand up. Get your hands off of me. Get your hands off me. Sexual harassment. Sexual harassment.
According to the transcript, the woman's failure to comply with the staff's requirements, despite several warnings, eventually leads her to a forcible removal from the premises. When a woman walks in with a horse, pony, and donkey to make a deal, the pawn shop takes an unexpected turn. The sight of these barnyard pals prancing around the shop had the workers in stitches and completely perplexed. Employees take turns attempting to ride the stubborn pony and shooting beautiful shots while the animals wander around. It's a comedy of errors, with the personnel hilariously attempting to keep order while dealing with the unusual scenario. Ashley, one of the staff, finds herself the proud owner of a horse after some amusing negotiating.
I'll split the second vote with you.
125? Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone's puzzled expressions say it all. They never anticipated becoming a pawn store with a petting zoo. That's all for the video today, but we'll be right back soon. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and thanks for watching.